Sunday morning here in Ho Chi Minh City. I guess we've done a live stream like this before for YouTube, but I think that probably it's different in that you can all just ask questions rather than time questions, which is probably a better format, I think. Yeah. Just as a point of order, if I start talking French, there's a Frenchman in the room next door who's staying with me, so I'm not having some psychotic episode. And I don't know what time he rolled in last night, but I left him at 11:30 chasing some Vietnamese girl around the club. So yeah. I just comes out on his own, and there's not some girl in a cocktail dress that popped out yapping in Vietnamese. But that's a small point of order. I guess that from today's perspective, I kind of want to bring you up to date with everything that's happening actually, and what will happen next week. So, as you all know, I'll do this in chronological order. Splash went really well. Thursday was a very, very long day. I got to the factory at about 6 a.m. because I wanted to film with no workers on board. They were just like running around like lunatics, getting everything done. And there were times when there were probably 50 people working on that boat at its height.
You have to let them access your microphone to do this chat thing. But it's not like a Zoom meeting or something. You can't. There's no way to mute your microphone. So everybody on this chat has all got their microphones open. It doesn't.
Yeah. If you could turn your microphones off, that would probably be
Format I'm not familiar.
good.
Anyway, I will continue. So I filmed a lot. I got about 60 gigabytes of footage. And
there is the mute.
Yeah.
There is the mute. Someone said, "Oh, we're a bit full, aren't we?"
Talk about muting the microphone. Okay.
There's a little, so just so everyone knows, there's a little next to your name, bottom left, there's a little mute button if you wanted to mute yourself while Nick's chatting, and then maybe later we can open it up for questions. So yeah, just find your little.
It's very distracting.
Yeah. So just find your little mute button, and you can mute yourself.
There is a mute. Looks like
Terysa should be able to do a server mute.
See, we're not very. This is new to us. I don't know how to.
I'll just continue.
Yeah, you carry on, Nick.
Listen, be aware that anything you are even whispering is picked up, and so it sounds a little bit like a cross line, which is a bit weird.
That's quite
nice. So look, the Thursday went really well.
Yes.
Complaints there at all. It was a very long day. I think it took 14 hours to get me from. I can't talk over people. So
I think I've just fixed it.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well done, mate. So listen. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. I can still hear you. Yep. Everyone can still hear Nick.
Probably the best.
Yeah, so look, it went really well. Launch was really perfect. The team worked really well across the whole day, and then we sailed up the river. Couple of points that you won't be aware of. Firstly, talking to Stefan, who was skippering the boat, and James, who designed the boat and was co-skippering the boat, the steering on that boat is amazing. One thing they have said is that it is far, far, far more responsive than the 1260. One criticism of the 1260 is that the steering is spongy, and we've sailed two 1260s, and I don't think it is there's not a lot of feedback to it, and that, unfortunately, is always a problem with catamarans because there is so much linkage between the actual stick of the wheel and the rudder. And yeah, they were both, I have not touched the wheel, I haven't done anything, but they were both like waxing very lyrical about how good the steering is and how responsive it is. So that's very, very good. I think the boat at 2,000 revs was doing about 8-9 knots, but that was with a foul tide. So it goes fast. The hull number one, as Randy and Denise, if they're here, will tell you, has a bit 57s in, and they are super quiet. The engine bays are, the soundproofing is amazing because they had to open one of the engine bays just to do some checks while we were motoring along. The noticeable difference in engine noise it's very apparent. What am I trying to say to you? Yesterday, I hear that they were doing, I think, 9 knots and 16 knots of breeze, and with a big chop, which apparently was slowing the boat down. Now, I am meeting Francois, the designer, for lunch today, so I'm going to get him. He was on the set test sail yesterday, the commissioning sail. So I'll get some more feedback. I was going to meet up with him last night, but he was just like super tired. So everything, the reports coming back so far, the boat is amazing. There is it is doing exactly what it was designed to do. And yeah, so I said, the sailing performance, I've literally just got this yesterday from Francois, like it sailed very, very well. That was under Screecher, and the engine performance is perfect. So look, honestly, no complaints. I think that moving forward to what's going on tomorrow, on Tuesday morning, 6 a.m., we head up to Nha Trang, and the weather is going to be bloody awful. So we are going to be battling probably 30 to 40 knot headwinds to get up there, and big seas. So it's going to be it's going to be a shitty passage. So that is bad for me and good for the boat, I guess. I think testing the boat, you need to be able to thrash it, and they're going to thrash it. So the weather forecast for Ho Chi Minh to Nha Trang, there's always big northerlies come streaming down the coast, and this is another big northerly. So that is Nha Trang, and we hope to be up there by Thursday. At the weekend, there's a photo shoot for Seawind. I am taking all sorts of camera gear, drones, and God knows what to hopefully fly. I can't fly the drone. If the weather is like too windy, I'll lose it. Well, I'll probably lose it anyway, but there's a greater chance of me losing it. And then early next week, back downwind sail all the way back to Ho Chi Minh City. So I should be able to get some really good performance data for myself, for Terysa. They've got the weight of the boat, and it is, I can't tell you what it is, but they're very happy with it. So and I'm also very happy with what I've heard. So yes, again, until they lift it up, it's all theoretical. But they're happy with the weight, they're happy with the performance, they're happy with the sailing performance. Yeah, nothing else to really say, I guess. So really, at this point, I guess I could just ask you if you have any questions, and then I'll free it go.
Yeah, I've
you guys need to unmute.
Am I? Yeah, I'm on unmute, and everyone can ask questions in the chat. So I think that's probably the easiest thing to do at the moment. Just quickly, there's been, someone has said that they can't get into the chat, and I'm just trying to sort that out now with our admin. Sorry, this is new to me as well, so I'm just trying to sort that out.
So have we got any questions in there?
Yes. Everyone asked your questions in the chat. Kirsten and Dan, who, as we know, are hull number 3, they want to know who's sailing to Nha Trang with you.
To the best of my knowledge, Stefan is the skipper.
And who's Stefan? Remind everyone who Stefan is and what his role is.
I think he's the general manager. He's the production manager for everything. And he's also a very, very competent sailor. So he does the delivery trips, and so he's the perfect person to do it. There is another guy called, I think he's called James, and there is a Vietnamese guy who is needed for translationing for the authorities and everything. So the Seawind crew will fly up from Nha Trang to meet the boat so that it's checked in. Because if you arrive by sea, even if you're just within Vietnamese waters, there's a whole heap of procedure to follow. Yeah. So passport, document, saving life. So I have to go with all my documents, and we've already had to submit our documentation for approval to be on the boat. So that's I think there's a crew of 4. And then there was, the other thing I was told yesterday, there was a crew of 8 yesterday, and it didn't, apparently, the feedback was that the boat still felt completely it didn't feel crowded at all with 8 people on board.
Good. A couple of other questions. I'm just going back to the start so that we can go in order. I mean, David says, how excited were you to see hull 1 splash? Were you excited, Nick, or were you just focused on trying to get everything filmed.
No, the thing about it is, there's a lot of stop, start, and I had to concentrate. So I'm running 3 cameras. I've got a big camera, a 360 camera, and I've got a drone up in the air. And every time I think some action's about to start, I have to put the drone up and start the cameras. And the cameras in different vantage points. I'm literally running around, and probably 50% of the time they're like full starts, and the drone battery lasts 30 minutes. So at that point, I've got to go and bring the drone down. So there was a lot of it, and it was a steaming hot day. So by the time I got on the boat, I was just like pretty damn relieved to just think, okay, fine, I can take the drone down and go back to 2 cameras.
Yeah, I've just gone through a lot of that drone footage. I've just been going through all that drone footage.
Did you see the bit?
Okay.
Well, there's a bit I'm literally carrying the big tripod. I'm carrying the big camera on a tripod, running behind the crane and trying to fly the drone at the same time. I'm like, God almighty, this is like pretty sketchy.
I haven't seen that part, but I will look out for it.
Yeah, I mute the audio, just a lot of cussing.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe we can put that out to patrons only or something. Okay, so other questions from, some of the usernames, I don't know your actual Patreon name. So anyway, someone called Radio Flyer says, did you order the Jabsco heads that you love so much from too?
I had a long discussion with James about Jabsco heads. And I'm like, do you realize how much I hate Jabsco heads? And he's like, yeah. He goes, we were going to go with the French toilet brand, but literally we can't get serviceable parts. At least, although you hate Jabsco, at least you can get the service kits in just about everywhere in the world. And I'm like, yeah, but do you know what they cost in West Green? But I mean, these are not those twist lock things that I hate. These are, I think we have now specified 1 saltwater, 1 freshwater.
Okay.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
You know, a freshwater toilet does not smell because it doesn't have the sulfate bacteria that end up in the pipe. And the saltwater one is for what happens if either the valve, I always worry about what happens if one of the valves goes. And I have it could just be old myths. If the one-way valve goes, you end up backfilling your freshwater tank with sewage water, which is not good for you. Or we start running low on water, and then when we can't have a freshwater flush. I mean, these are designed as ocean-going boats, so we always want a backup to preserve freshwater.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so another question from Brian. What do you think of the clearance of the dinghy? Do you think that there'll be any issues with the 2 davits, especially with the cable routing down the starboard aft inflatable hull? So any issues with clearance, getting the dinghy down, up and down, I guess?
Do you mean clearance is it high enough off the water?
I guess so. Brian, do you want to clarify that? If you want to jump in?
Honestly.
Oh, here's Brian. Let Brian ask.
Yeah, so 2 parts to that. Yeah, absolutely, the clearance off the water, but also I'm looking at that console just like you are, and it's got cables and the wires routed down that right starboard aft side of the dinghy. Are you worried about that interfacing with the dinghy davit itself? And
we had specified the console, and I literally had a chat with Terysa about this morning. I want to see how everything sits trim-wise once that boat is loaded at the stern, because as James pointed out to me, the water maker, I believe, is in the aft heads. So, and that's heavy. So you've got a water maker there. We've got a bloody great engine there at the outboard. Those 257s and a 360, and then there's another 30 kilos of center console. So I think the ultimate point we're going to make is if the center console is too heavy, and I think that we'll get this from trial. I mean, because basically once we see trial the hull number 1. I can say to James, look, now you know how the trim sits on the boat, whether it's completely trim, how much more can I load it down without it causing problems? So while I have said to them, look, I want the center console, we want the center console, if it's like, look, this is now getting to the point where it's too weight sensitive, we'll ditch it and just do something else. So I am very aware. I literally went out with Anton last night, who is the designer for he's obviously one of Seawind's naval architect. And he was explaining to another friend of mine who's just got into sailing how weight sensitive everything is. And it was a nice refresher course. Obviously, I know that everything's weight sensitive, but I'm going to look to the trim of the boat before I commit to it. At the moment, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I actually think that I think a bigger problem is those rigid dinghies. I think that people that want OCs, I think that my concern is that when we had the 1250, there is still, you cannot brace a dinghy against the transfer of catamaran without it banging. And Tracy, you'll remember this, like the damn thing would swing, and no matter how we braced it, there was always some knocking. And it's all fair and well with a PVC or a hyperlong dinghy because it just takes that out. But I am slightly concerned about rigid dinghies on the back of that boat. But it's just speculation, and I want to see how it all works in theory. And until I get on the test sail, that's one thing that I will look at is how sturdy do those davits work and how well is that dinghy. And these are little things that you can't predict it. So, I know that when we were, as I said, in the Whitsundays on the 1260, if we didn't brace that dinghy, we ended up with all sorts of problems, didn't we, True?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was really frustrating. I mean, the sail up in a chain will test that out very thoroughly because it's going to be so bouncy.
So that's it. It's little things. It's these little things, and really, I think I'll be living on that boat for about a week, and I think during that week it will give me a very good idea of what works, what doesn't work, what I would ask to be different for our boat. Just because our boat is still so far from fit out. So there may be items, for instance, that are, Trace, someone's playing a radio, can you just...
Oh,
Can you mute everyone again, please?
I can only mute individuals. Are we okay now?
Anyway, so, yes. No, I can still hear someone. Anyway,
I can't hear
so
anyone.
basically, I hope that answers the question. I will assess the davits on my trip. So, is there another question now?
Yeah.
I can't see the question, wasn't it?
Quite a few questions. So next is from Jack, who is hull number, I think 4, 5?
10.
Okay.
Jack is 7, isn't it?
7, okay.
Jack.
Yeah, I sometimes don't keep track. So Jack says, when you have the jib up, can you please record record yourself doing a few short tacks? So would love to find the tacking angle. I mean, I think that this is one of the major points of interest about this boat, what the tacking angle will actually be.
I will do. I don't think we're going to be short tacking and 40 knots of wind.
Yeah, well,
Listen,
they're going to want to.
Just stop. I can't answer questions with people talking. It literally.
Okay, I think it's just me.
It's a condenser mic, so everything when you're there. Can you just go through and make sure everyone's mic are muted, please? If you ask the next question, just go around and mute the mic while I'm answering the question, please.
Yeah, okay.
DP Gravelin is the open mic.
Sorry, mate? Say that again.
The open mic. Whoever someone just said, someone bobbed in the open mic.
Can you message me if that? Doug, do you want to message me?
What's the next question, Alan?
So the next question is any issues with vibrations or boat noise, unexpected boat noise, when you were just doing your motor up the river?
No, it was super quiet.
Yeah.
It's super quiet. And I think the whole thing about it is that those 57s run at a very much lower rev range to get the power. And in addition to that, they're just a deeper note. Just because they're bigger. And according to James, only one boat has spec to 40 so far.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone's gone for the 57.
Okay. Cool.
Joyce?
Yep, I'm with you. Okay.
Now I can't hear anyone.
Can you hear me?
Tracy, I think you've muted yourself up.
I definitely haven't. There might be something wrong with your AirPods, babe. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, so everything just froze. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Might have just been your interwebs, your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it could have done.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next, Ryan?
So on the engine size, relatedly.
Yes.
Jack also wants to know if you could record hull speeds at different revs, so 1500, 2000, 2500, and max RPMs.
I think I've actually done. The problem is it's difficult in the river. I will try and do it and then short chop. But I think that 8 to 10 knots is going to be more than achievable. I also don't know if the engine is broken or if you give it over 2,500 revs. So I think that that's to do with Yanmar. Like I know that I think on Ruby Rose for the first, there was a breaking in period where we couldn't take the revs over a certain limit. So it may not be feasible yet. But I think that, as I said, the boat was just chugging along very nicely at 8 knots. That's like under about 2,000 revs. And I think it matches out at 320.
Okay, cool. Does anyone have any other questions? You can ask them in the chat. If you're on your desktop, that's easy. I'm not quite sure how it looks on your apps. But yeah, ask any questions that you have. Nick, I've got a question for you. Are you looking forward to the test sail or not so much? Because I've seen the forecast.
No, I'm not looking forward to it, actually. I'm very excited to get on board. But I think it's going to be miserable. It's going to be a miserable couple of days. But yeah, I'd rather it was obviously like 15 knots and me sitting on the foredeck drinking like margaritas, but it's going to be me thrown up into a bucket and trying to, absorb a mutiny bar between vomiting. So yeah, it's going to be pretty savage.
But think of the sail back from the Chang. That will be really nice.
If I had the luck that I always have when I'm sailing, the wind will spin round and start back and I'll get hammered on the way back as well. That's what normally happens.
Well, happily for you, the winds are pretty consistent, and I don't think that the winds are meant to swing around until like May-ish, April, May. So
listen, happily for me, as you pointed out last night, I'm not the skipper. I'm literally just crew. So I'm an observer. So I can observe from my head in a toilet.
Exactly. And you will be filming every moment, even if it's quite miserable. So it'll be good for everyone else. It'll be good for the rest of us, watching from afar. Yeah.
No. As I said, the whole thing about seasickness is it's the complete lethargy that overcomes you. Literally, with all the, I could be, if I'm just throwing up on fire, but the absolute apathy, you're like, okay, the boat's on fire, I'm just going to turn over and go to sleep. That is kind of the real shitty thing about seasickness. As you know from watching maybe seasick so many times.
Yeah, I've witnessed that a few times, definitely.
Just go to sleep.
Okay, so some more questions. Thoughts on the galley space? This is a good question because we've actually just been able to see the galley in all its glory. Jack has he's shared a screenshot of the forecast for tomorrow. And Jack, that screenshot doesn't show the gusts. That's just like the wind speed. That doesn't show the gusts of 40 knots. So good times. Then Nick will be sailing directly into. Yeah, nice.
That's in my EPUB.
Yeah. Just stay like inside the boat. What's your thoughts on the galley now that it's all intact? And also, by the way, to everyone, obviously all the shots and all the footage that we have seen of the boat on the inside has been kind of obscured by them covering up everything. So once it's finished, they cover it all up, and obviously Nick can't get in there and just take it all apart, although he's able to sneak.
Actually, Terysa, if you look at the footage that I took yesterday or the last few days, everything's uncovered.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was about to say. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Carry on.
So my thoughts on the galley is more than big enough. My kitchen here, I don't have a kitchen here. I literally. One thing that I have said to James, and I'm going to make sure that this is absolutely followed to the letter, is that I do not want routing for the drainer on the sink. I want a completely smooth surface because I don't like drainer routing, and that increases the usable galley space by about 50 centimeters because if you route it all out, you can't do anything with it. So I think that and I literally went to the stonemason this week to choose the Corian, and so that will be done. And I think the galley space is more than enough. It's much more than it's probably, Terysa, it's about 20% smaller than the place we had in London was. So it's no real different. And the breakfast bar pulls out, and it's a very nice, useful place. I think that it's a pretty, I don't have a question about the Galley place.
Good. A question from...
I think I'm just frozen again, so Terysa, I'll wait for you to come back online.
Well, I think that it might be your Wi-Fi. Yeah, I think it's your Wi-Fi.
So Galley space, I mean, we have gone for the whole... Terysa, you still there?
Yeah. All good. Is it your... I think it's your Wi-Fi.
I'm not sure if you can still hear me. I'll just keep talking.
Yeah.
We've gone for the dual induction gas burner. So it's two gas rings and an induction ring. So that's quite a compact unit. So no, Galley space should be fine. No problem with that.
Good.
Next question, please.
Okay, so from Brian again. In the latest video, it looks like the retractable windows in front of the helm stations are in. Did you have a little play with them, and what are your thoughts on those like electronic windows?
Oh, they're brilliant. They are brilliant. I have played with them, and I've got footage of me playing with them. That obviously hasn't been edited yet. So they're very, very good. They're very big, and with the forward windows open, there's a huge amount of airflow going through that boat. But yeah, it does everything that we wanted from airflow.
Yeah. From Kelton, our lovely admin, who some of you have had dealings with. What are your thoughts on the 1600 helm location configuration versus the 1370? So Kelton says that the 1600 seems more exposed than the 1370. Is that right?
Yeah, much more.
Okay.
You have to think that, don't forget that the 1600 didn't start off with the Seawind. It was a Corsair before Corsair bought it. So Corsair was acquired it was bought out. So the 1600 is actually it's designed by another architect. Someone said it was designed a long while ago, the Corsair 50, under the old Corsair company. So it is more exposed. It's a very, very good helm position. I do like the helm, but it's not as protected as the 1370 or the normal model. Yeah,
for sure. Can you still hear me, babe?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, cool. From Jack Horn, and this is a good question. What's the general schedule or like set of procedures or processes for the test sail week? So what in particular will they be testing, and in what order?
So I think the last 2 or 3 days are general setup, like compass swinging, autopilot commissioning, making sure that the systems work usably. And while they've done things like put the main up in the factory, they need to make sure that, while sailing to Vultau, that everything works like it's meant to work. Because, you know what it's like with us. You put the sail up and then you realise your reaping line's all tangled and you've got to bring it all down. So until you move everything about and get the boom moving and get everything, you don't know what's going on. So this weekend was literally just the boring stuff. They'll bring the boat back to Ho Chi Minh tonight and then set up Tuesday morning. And I think it's 48 hours. Now, there is a couple of stop-off points. There's a couple of rocks that they can hide behind if the weather gets really shitty. And I'll take a good foot for that, because the last time I got stuck, I think 2 days behind this rock. And then they've got to get to Nha Trang, get the boat tidy for the photo shoot. It's just a couple of days. And I think Monday week we come back. So, yeah.
Okay. Carmen says, don't kill yourself trying to get the video. You can always just tell us about it. Carmen, that's not the way we do things.
Yeah. No, look, I'm very much looking forward to getting to actually film it on a sailing boat again. There is, as I've said, apprehension about not the boat, about me. I haven't sailed for so long and I don't have my sea legs yet. So it's going to be crystallized ginger, Stugaron, no coffee, and lots of oatmeal.
Yeah, cool. So what are, and you, oh no, hang on, I've just missed a question. Okay, regarding the gas strut design on the saloon windows, what are they, there's been an observation that they're propping it open with a stick and the middle strut is obscuring some people's well, is obscuring the view for some people. What do you reckon?
Yeah, whatever smart ass said that we specify it in Korean, I think deserves to like a
Because it's such a
I read
feature.
that and laughed at.
That was
No,
Pete.
because someone, I think it was Randy was like, I'm sure we will specify it in Korean.
No, that was
It a
Pete.
stick.
That was Pete.
I was it Pete. What else?
Yeah.
I made me laugh.
Yeah.
I don't know about the gas struts. I think maybe, I don't know, maybe the gas struts aren't pressurized or they've lost pressure, or they need to be bigger gas struts. And we know there's some Ruby Roads we used to have. I always used to order Chinese gas struts from Amazon, and they always used to turn up and they'd be the same size but different Newton pressures. So maybe they need to change them out for bigger gas struts. I don't know.
Not sure. Okay.
I don't know about that.
So kind of.
It's not beyond the wit of man. If you take the boot of any car or the hatchback of any car, those things weigh down like normal windows, and they can get those to stay up with a gas strut. So it's probably just a gas strut issue that needs to be changed out, which is literally just a question of unclipping it and putting it back on. And I can change a gas strut on our fridge in what, a minute? It's not a difficult job.
Yeah. Okay. Kind of answer this one, but maybe just go over it again. David asks, what are the next steps for Hull 1 after the sea trial? So once the sea trials are complete and the boat is back in Ho Chi Minh, what happens next?
I think from what I've been told, obviously if there's any things like squeaks or things that they will need to just tweak, they'll tweak those. And I think that's important that, there's no point in doing a test sail unless there's time afterwards to address any minor problems or problems that you may find. So it has been built into the schedule to make sure that actually there's a squeak here, you'll get the carpenters in and change that, or this doesn't quite work, we'll get and change that. And again, they're not, from all the data that's coming out, there's no problem with anything. It's the hull is doing everything it's meant to do. But these are like a million minor problems. Like, I don't know, just by example, something doesn't quite work ergonomically, or there's something that needs to be changed or rubbed down, or things don't fit, or things like a door that doesn't catch. It's just same as buying a house. It's a snagging list, and there probably will be items on that snagging list. So I don't know how many weeks they've got for that, but when the boat comes back, they will fix everything up so that when it leaves for America, it will be like ta-da. Yeah.
Nice. Another question regarding the engines. Do you happen to know, Nick, what the theoretical fuel consumption is for the engines, or will that be tested?
No idea.
And is that something that they actually test?
Huh?
Is that something that they test?
It's only a theoretical test. That's
Yeah.
The whole problem about it is the fuel consumption is litres per hour, but then that doesn't mean any litres per hour. And those, if you look in the Yanmar manual for the 57, it will give you the fuel consumption.
Do you know what that is?
There is an ideal torque to fuel consumption point on that graph. But the point about it is that obviously, fuel consumption is irrelevant when you're trying to, because if you're motoring in different conditions, you have a different ability to make headway under engine only. So fuel consumption doesn't bother me that much, but I know I don't have the data, but the practical will be very different to the theory.
Yeah, okay. I think that's maybe just something that you and I will be monitoring and seeing if we can get some information on. But in terms of, I guess, working out a general range, and this is important because when you're crossing oceans, you need to know what your range is in terms of how much fuel you've got. So yeah, we'll need to work that out at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so Dan and Kirsten like the 360 photos. They're cool, aren't they? So those of you, most of you are probably on our Patreon Facebook group, but if you're not, then Nick's been putting up some 360 shots on that group, and they're quite cool now that you can actually see the boat in all its glory.
Well, it's a new camera as well, and the resolution's a lot better. So the old camera just didn't have the resolution to get those really nice kind of like panoramic shots that were a bit blocky, but pixelated. But this is a really good camera. Yeah.
Okay, so another question about and maybe you can fill people in who may not be aware of this. The Galley fridge, that there's been a bit of an issue with it having a freezer section, and that reduces the space, the internal space. Have they resolved this? Have they found another model? No idea.
No idea.
I've got a flyer. Okay. Just reading through the questions. How much cupboard space is available? And this is a question actually that I don't know the answer to, because there was going to be some storage down in the guest hull for like extra storage.
There is an insane amount of storage. I actually think there's too much storage.
Okay.
I know that. No, I'm going to quantify that, because the problem is we've lived on board and we know how you just acquire shit over the years. And we did. We promised ourselves we wouldn't, and then we ended up just over a couple of years just more and more stuff because we could, and we crammed it in. And the problem is that it's going to be very, very easy to overload this boat. And as I go around the fore cabin, as I go around the master hull, there's a crazy amount of boat.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point where I'm actually going to get a set of scales to weigh what we're putting on. I think if you're filling it with bedding, it's not a problem. But if you start filling it with, I'm just going to put another, another pot and pan or a spare alternator or a spare starter in, I think then you're going to find that the boat performance suffers. So yeah, I do stand by the fact that there is the crazy amount of storage on that boat lends itself to potentially being very easy to overload.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not like the 1260, it's not a great amount. There's a lot of storage on the 1260, but it's not insane. Like, they have crammed in so much storage, like especially in the guest hull, in the starboard hull, that like everything is covered. Like, there's just cupboards and storage everywhere. I'm like, another cupboard? Like, we don't need all this. I would say, Terysa, there's probably 3 times as much storage in that boat as there is in Ruby Rose.
Well, to be fair, Ruby Rose didn't have a lot of storage, but yeah, that is good. I mean, good, yeah. Double-edged sword. Yeah. We'll try and be sensible. Mm-hmm. Hopefully for us...
I will be sensible. You will try and be sensible.
I'm a minimalist, as you know.
Right.
We won't get into this here.
That statement being...
I am. I resent that.
Okay.
Okay.
Carry on with the minimalism.
Okay, so Mark has a question, not so much a question, more just a comment, that he would also like some data at each RPM, but this is back to the engines, when the props are put in overdrive. So can you talk about our props?
Stories, they're beautiful. They're a beautiful thing. All I can talk about on those props is that they are the overdrive facility. It's not for me to sort out. This firmly falls into Seawind remit. We can do it when we get to Ruby Rose 2, but I can't just turn around and say, look, I need data on the overdrive. I'll be like, okay, go and sit in the corner and shut up a little bit.
Pipe down. Yeah. But what is the overdrive?
Huh?
Can you explain what the overdrive, how the props work and what the overdrive is?
They're forward props. They have forward. So when you're in reverse, they have one position. When they're going forward, they're another position if they open up. But there's a way, and I'm not quite sure because we've never had Dories, where if you go from one position then quickly into another, it actually forms a third. They take on a third position, and that gives you, I think it's better, either greater speed or better fuel economy. Someone will confirm that down below. But yeah, the overdrive is a mode that you engage by doing something to the throttle.
I'm pretty sure it's speed. I think it's like half a knot or a knot or something. I'm pretty sure it's speed. Someone will correct us.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they always do. Jack wants to know if Ruby Rose 2 will be in Southampton this year. That is one boat show that probably the only boat show that we haven't thought about being at.
So listen, we desperately want to show Ruby Rose 2 at some boat show. That's not a problem. So we plan on doing this, but it's not our decision for obvious reasons. It's Seawind's decision. So we want to be involved. They know that we want to be involved, but marketing Seawind it's not our business. So and based on what they want, put it this way: based on what they want, we will take. That's going to decide where the boat goes. If they want to, I think really, this is what I reckon. Based on being in this factory now for 15 months, I mean, now we're getting to the point where Hull 1 has definitely launched. So now Hull 2 becomes the first boat in the production line. We have got a date which is pretty approximate. It's pretty close to where we're going to be, and they have said to us end of May, beginning of June. Now, I believe that was slipped by about a week or two. That's just based on previous incarnations. James then asked me, do you want us to test this boat like you test Hull 1? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And I want this boat because there's a lot of features on this boat that are not present on 2 that aren't present on 1. We've got a good specification. I want to know, for instance, I want them to crash the boat with a Korean work service to make sure that there's no problems with that. I want to test my workshop to make sure that it's functional and there's no problems with that. So the arrangements that we've got are so from these, and if Randy's online, he'll be able to kind of confirm this, but this is what I believe. We are having the workstation in the master hull, but we don't have the full storage. That is because 2 reasons. 1, we need a workstation because we work, but 2, it gives you a slightly better visibility out the windows, because if you're sat in bed, you get like a couple of extra degrees. So that's one big difference. The second big difference is we are building a workshop because we need a workshop. This is what we have to have. It's like literally with our red line, we have to have a workshop. The third thing is, I'm not sure that Randy's got this, but we are having the cabinetry under the bed in the aft cabin. Actually, I think Randy does have that. The fourth thing is our weight is going to be different because we have a water maker and a different dinghy. And the fifth thing is that we are having Seawind's solar installed. So while you'll see solar panels on Hull 1, they are not, then those panels, I think that the solar's being installed when the boat, Hull 1 is shipped, I believe. Don't quote me on this because I just know our spec. So I want all that tested. I literally want all the solar tested, I want all the regulators tested, I want them to crash the boat, as in our boat, and then I want them to circle back and say, okay, we need to fix this, and this. So I believe now that if I give Seawind, if I say we're 3 months out and I expect 2 weeks delayed, and then I expect another 2 weeks for them to test sail it and fix it, I reckon end of June. Somewhere in June, we'll have a boat that's ready to go. I think that's where we're going to be. And I do think that it's not just for our benefit, but the whole problem is, and this is what I said about Hull, that there are definitely advantages for us scratching 2 so that they have comparatives of people that have got specifications similar to 1, but I think most of them are similar to 2. So all the other owners will be like, okay, well now this is being tracked, and it's good for Seawind. I don't want it to be an unknown quantity.
Yeah.
And more importantly for us, actually, if there's a warranty claim and we're in the middle of running Whoopal, it's easier for them to fix it inside Gone where they've got all the workers and God knows what.
Yeah.
So from our perspective, I think that's where we're going to be. So I think somewhere in June is going to be my best guess estimate as to when we'll get the keys to the boat. Whether or not that boat is then shipped, I don't know. I mean, we're very open to Asia. We sail into Thailand, but again, there's discussions that we're not privy to or don't need to be privy to as to what goes on with showing Hull 2 at European boat shows. Do they want to show at Cannes, which is the first big boat show before Annapolis? La Grande Motte, obviously nothing's ready for La Grande Motte because it's next month. And yeah, so that's it really. I mean, look, either way, we'll be selling the boat to people either ourselves or at a boat show.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple of questions actually about the when you're getting up onto the coach roof, there's like an upright that you can hold on to pull yourself up.
Yeah.
How, well, I mean, I'm very much hoping that you don't actually have to test that out next week on your test sail, because that would be a real test for it with the boat that's going to be bouncing around.
Not for me to get up there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm literally the
Yeah, but how?
That's it. I said to go. Yeah. Huh?
Well, I was just going to say, how have you found that, and do you think it's sturdy enough? That's the question.
I don't know. I don't know if it's sturdy enough. I think it's, put it this way, it's stainless. It's a stainless tube. It's 2 foot high or 18 inches high. And, you know, if you've got 100 kilo person, like being, like jerking that, I don't know.
Okay.
I think that it's a, I mean, put it this way, I personally think I could bend it myself, but I've never tried.
For obvious reasons.
And I think, yeah. So I think that the point about it is, and I have said to them, you know, is it sturdy enough? Is it? Because I think I could bend it. Because, and that's not based on looking at it. It's literally that if I had 18 inches of stainless steel tubing, like a spot 15 mil, like in a vise, I could bend it. We've done this with when we had our own, we're bending stainless for the Bimini on Ruby Road. So it's just, unless it's thick walled or strengthened in a different way. So I think that'd be an interesting thing to see. So yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
So
there's
I
no.
can't speak on that component. But
I was just about to say that there's no way of getting onto the coach roof, really, and without holding onto that upright, is there?
Of course there is.
No.
I said to James, I probably won't use it. I
Oh.
don't think I'll use it. I think that really, there's a groove there. And realistically, if the weather's that bad, you shouldn't be trying to get up there. Like, you should be crawling up on your bloody hands and knees if you need to get up there with a tether on, not hanging around with a stainless steel thing. That's just me. I kind of, the whole point about this is that at the point at which you are climbing on there in bad weather, like stuff is going south and you're only up there because you've got a big problem. And at that point you are clipping on 3-point harness, and I personally would clip onto the mast base and just move myself up that way. So I don't know. It's a really innovative feature. I'm not personally sure that I will get as much use out of it as maybe some people would. I don't know. But it's just speculative. I don't know.
Okay. Next question. Can you describe the new boat smell?
It smells like fiberglass mixed with nectar.
Nectar. I don't know what that means. What's nectar?
Well, you know, like a lovely perfumey honey smell. That's like, yeah.
Okay, like a hummingbird drinks or whatever.
Like hummingbird's breath mixed with fiberglass.
Okay. We weren't really expecting a serious answer out of that, I don't think. Okay. So yeah, there's a few more mentions of wanting those stats of the like fuel efficiency and what speeds you get at different RPMs, that kind of thing. So
I mean, the fuel efficiency is going to be a long-term test. That's literally what it is. I mean, you can't. I remember when someone, I think it was when that other song with 38, was it Nick and Terysa? They gave us their fuel economy data.
Yeah.
But they'd only managed to get accurate results from sailing the boat for 3 years, and actually working out, you know, different engine temperatures, different speed conditions. So yeah, I think reliable data on fuel efficiency is going to take a while to come.
Yeah, and frankly, we aren't that. That's not really something that we kind of drill down into to like massive detail. We're not spreadsheet people. We kind of like, there are some people who love statistics and working everything out to like that tiny detail, but that's never really been our style. We're kind of more like broad, just.
I'm going to push back a little bit on this. I do think it's very important to know range.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but for example, when we met Mick and Fiona, who had a Southerly 38, like they had done all that testing. Like he had like every kind of statistic at every, you know, fuel efficiency at every RPM. Like we never worked all that out ourselves. We were just like, this is about right.
Nor will we.
Yeah.
I don't think that's, it's not.
That's not us. Other owners will do that though. Other owners will do that, and they know.
Well, and this is why these forums will be very, very useful, which will keep them running, and we'll be able to share. This is the whole point. Like this, while obviously at the moment we're discussing, you know, hole 1, and then we're discussing hole 2. This will stay open as a resort for like findings. Oh, we found this, we found that. what do you think? So I think that actually we'll get the data faster by pooling these resources, and that's what I think that we'll do. So whereas fuel economy will be like X for us, if someone's sailing the Bay of San Francisco, they'll get a different fuel economy. If someone's sailing freshwater, they'll get another.
And obviously it comes down.
Yeah,
it comes down to the weight of the boat as well. Like if a boat is really heavily laden.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, regarding commissioning, so the question is, do you think that Seawind have the resources at the moment to be building boats and commissioning? Are they taking resources away from the boat build to do the commissioning, or is it a different team, or how do they do that?
A different team, completely different team, I think.
Cool. Okay, yeah, a few comments about the pole on the coach roof. Yeah, a little bit of skepticism there about whether it really is going to be used, or
the whole point about this is what I don't get, right? And I'm not knocking the pole. I won't knock the pole. But my point is that if you end up with that pole up, I'm going to try and not turn this into like porno speak. If the pole is up and you are stood on the deck, then you really have created a hazard in that you've got an 18-inch pole stuck up the deck.
Yeah.
So I would not want to be walking around the deck with an upright pole. I can't get around this, can I? So the point is, I would want to put the pole down and then work the deck. Do you see what I mean? It's another level of shenanigans.
Yeah.
Because the point is, while the pole is round on top, like if you fell over and it hit you in the face, you'd still lose an eye. And you're going up to that deck. So I kind of, like when I first saw it, I'm like, yeah, you just put an 18-inch spike on the top of a boat. And I'm like, and so there is a question in my mind as to whether they solved one problem but created another. But you can circumvent that by getting up and just laying it flat, but I don't know really. I think that honestly, I don't know.
Yeah. No other questions at the moment. So if anyone has any burning questions, then now's the time to put them in the chat before we wrap up. So Nick, why don't you tell us what you're doing with the rest of your day and tomorrow, the next couple of days? What are your plans?
Well, today I'm going to be bulk buying seasickness tablets and ginger, and then I have to go and I've actually got to spend. There's a patron flown in, John Tilden and John. Someone's flown in, and I don't have. That's what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm going to try and catch up with patron. Tomorrow night I'm going to go and stay at Richard's house, the CEO, so I can get to the boat on Tuesday morning early. I've got a pack. And I've got to just get all the memory cards, all the battery charged, all the memory cards charged, and then I've got all the memory cards empty because they're all full. So yeah,
right.
So it's just getting ready for this trip, and then making sure that my French housemate doesn't destroy the place while I'm gone.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a question for me actually from Doug. Wants to know when I'm going to get to Ho Chi Minh. So I'll get to Ho Chi Minh when our boat is ready. So I'll be there. Yeah. It will kind of depend on how things are panning out, but yeah, I'm planning on getting on a plane and meeting our boat. And if that is in Ho Chi Minh, then that's where I'll be going. And if it's somewhere else, then that's where I'll be going.
I mean, more than likely, it's going to be somewhere else at the moment. I think that the talk is the two options we've got now are Pattaya in Thailand, because they are trying to set up a commissioning station in Pattaya, and actually that digs. There is so much bureaucracy in Vietnam that it actually makes it far, far easier. And the whole thing about this is that when Therese turns up, she's going to have suitcases full of stuff. That's just huge. We're going to be bringing a lot of stuff from Australia, and getting it into Vietnam is always a lottery. Like, you're always like, oh, is this stuff new? Do you have to pay tax on it? And then what are you doing here? Whereas Thailand is very much, okay, just, come in with your coffee machine, your bedding, and you're like, Can
I just provide a bit of context?
Hey,
Yeah, my coffee machine, my bedding, yeah. I think we'll be getting a coffee machine in Ho Chi Minh actually. But anyway,
I'd rather get it in Thailand. The problem is here that everything is subject. Everything, the luxury item is subject to 100% tax.
Right.
So a coffee machine here will cost twice as much as Thailand because Thailand don't give a monkeys. Here they're like luxury item, luxury item, luxury item. Literally, I mean, you know, to do the whole midlife crisis thing here, I literally went to look at Harley Davidson last week, and they are 3 times the cost of buying a Harley in America. Like, it's insane. They're like $30,000 for a basic Harley.
Okay.
And I'm like, why are these so expensive? Like import tax.
Yeah. Vietnam does have crazy import taxes.
And they don't want people here anymore. Like with the entire discussion last night with Antoine and my friend Adrian was how difficult it is to get into Vietnam now. And anything more than 1-2 week visa a year.
Well, this is what I was just about to say. This is what I was just about to say, is that to provide some context as to my continuing absence from Vietnam, is that Nick has a TRC, which stands for something that I can't remember, but it's basically like a long-term working visa. I don't have that because I'm not eligible. Hey?
Temporary residence card.
Right, okay. So he's actually got a residence card.
But the context is that I'm not. When Terysa and I first came to Vietnam in January last year, we came in as boat builders.
Yeah.
That was how we got visas, expert visas. And they were 3-month visas, which were allowed to be renewed once. The problem is that those expert visas have gone now. Like they stopped that loophole about 8 months ago. So you can't do that anymore. Then they stopped. They're cracking down on multiple tourist entries. So I've got a lot of friends that do the visa run to Cambodia. They get turned away. And the only reason I'm here is that just through an absolute crazy series of coincidences, I started working as a dentist, and the guy got me a residence permit as a medic. So that's the only reason I'm here. If I hadn't got the job as a dentist, I'd have had to leave 6 months ago. Yeah. And I wouldn't be allowed back in. So yeah, it's a crazy, lucky set. Even my Vietnamese teacher, she's like, do you know how lucky you are? They're not issuing TRCs anymore. No one's getting residence cards. People are being turned away at the border because they come in twice in a year. Yeah. As tourists.
So that's what I'm saying.
It's just
Yeah,
it's very difficult to get in here.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I'm not going to pull that trigger because I might not. If I were to go to Ho Chi Minh for, they would let me in for on a tourist visa, so that's 30 days. So if I were to go now, then there is no guarantee that then I'd be able to go back. And frankly, I'd need to be able to get to Vietnam if, Nick gets hit by a bloody truck on one of his biking trips or whatever. Like, I need to be able to have that in my back pocket to be able to get there, in an emergency.
Beaten up by a ladyboy.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't want, and obviously when Ruby Rose 2 is complete, then I also want to be there if we do the commissioning in Vietnam, which, as Nick says, may not happen because there's a lot of bureaucratic obstacles. Then I also want to be there for that. So yeah, I can't really, it's like a one-time thing because I don't have a TRC.
It's a one.
Yeah.
I think, look, personally, from what I know, they can commission at the port where you accept delivery. That's what's the standard. So I think commissioning will be Thailand or Europe, depending on Seawind. So yeah. Terysa will fly to Pattaya with a suitcase for the bedding and her coffee capsules and all the other things that we've got, and the miniature herb garden, that for. What else have you got that you've probably about on your miniature list of that?
I don't know, maybe all your shoes, or your shoes that. Let's not go there.
Actually, those shoes are here. I'm going to leave them here. Like, I've got 12 pairs of shoes there, all different colours, it's like an LGBTQ plus shoe parade.
In shoe form.
In shoe form, yeah.
Okay, last question is a really good one. So and I don't know if you know the answer to this, are there any Vietnamese traditions regarding christening or launches of the boat? So anything local, like a local tradition?
I don't know that, but I will find out. What I have done is I kind of got this message from James the other day, the production manager, was like, what size is the coin you want to put under the mast? I'm like, why is it important? And he literally gave me the dimensions of the coin that we could fit. So yeah, one tradition that we have got is that I've got a coin, a coin that I put under the mast a lot.
Oh, is that a Vietnamese thing, or is that
Vietnamese traditions? No idea.
What is that?
What do you mean? Is it what?
Is that
what did you say?
Putting the coin under the mast? Where does that come from? Did we have that with Ruby Rose? Is that a thing?
No, we didn't get a chance to, but it's a very old tradition. It's definitely putting a coin under the last.
Oh.
So I have the coin in my wallet. I just need James to like not forget the coin. But I think the Vietnamese tradition will probably be, if I could think of one, it would probably be like drinking 24 cans of Hanoi lager and doing karaoke at 3 in in your underpants, which seems to be what they do on a regular bloody basis. Oh, and yeah, obviously riling up the chicken to the chicken farm next door at 4 in so that I'm awakened by the sound of like 10 or 12 cocks in my ear.
That's right. Yeah, karaoke would definitely be involved if there was any Vietnamese traditions happening. They love their karaoke.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? Last night I was literally sat. This is how crazy the karaoke is here. Right? I was literally sat having a really nice meal with Antoine and Adrian, and this girl rocked up on a moped with a massive speaker on the back of it, leapt off, busted out some karaoke songs, and then fucked off again. I'm like, what was that all about?
They just love it. They have no shame. They just like think the entire neighborhood desperately needs to hear their singing voices, which frankly, you know, why not? I love that.
Sundays karaoke day. They'll start drinking about 10 o'clock.
I just love the level of
About
confidence.
2 hours, they'll start drinking.
Yeah.
Huh?
I just love like the level of confidence that implies, like just so confident just to belt out some karaoke just to the entire
You know
neighborhood.
where I was? I was in a bar the other. It was this week, and I can't remember what bar I was in. Right? But the reason I remember being in this bar was that a guy came into the toilet singing, and he could actually hold a tune. I'm like, actually, you can sing, because most of them sound like, honestly, I don't like. There's no connect between the actual melody and what comes out of their mouths. I'm not sure. Like, it is pretty insane. And the problem is that they put so much like echo on the karaoke machines. It's just like, what? It honestly. Like, do you remember when our washing machine wouldn't work properly and it was making that horrible whining racket, or when our alternator used to drag? Like, honestly, I'd rather listen to my alternator, like literally sipping rubber than this sort of thing. Yeah. And also, as my Vietnamese teacher tells me, that all the karaoke bars are brothels. I didn't know that when I went there.
Okay. Oh.
But if you go for special karaoke, yeah, you get like different level of service apparently.
Well, you watch out for that, Nick, because I don't want you walking into some karaoke bar and getting in over your head.
I went with Lucas and then ran off.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. You probably got scared and ran away. And that's a good thing.
So I stand with the pro. Honestly, I just think literally there's this girl that there are some very beautiful Vietnamese women that are also guys, and you have to just be really like, yeah, it's just like, yeah, keep your eyes down and keep reading your English book and then just pretend it never happened.
Exactly. And on that note, any final questions? Otherwise, I think we could probably wrap up for the day. I'll just give everyone a moment just to type anything that they need or want to ask.
It must be 9 o'clock. The little Frenchman still in his bed, so I didn't come home last night, or he's like rolling around in there with like jet lag or jet lag.
Well, maybe, I mean, you left him at like midnight at some like mad club, didn't you? So last night.
Yeah, the worst. Yeah, I hate places like that. It's just, I'm too bloody old for anyone walking in there like some dodgy old part, and like there's all these young kids in there like, right, one drink and I'm out.
Exactly. So Carmen says, good luck with the weather and thank you. Yeah, if anyone, I will be posting a screenshot of the forecast. I'll do that over on Patreon and or Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right. Thanks.
Good luck.
I'll wave goodbye to you all now. This time next week I'll be looking for my lifeless body somewhere off the coast of the Channel.
Well, hopefully the boat holds up and that won't be a problem. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking my PLB.
Yeah, well, take your sleeping, not your sleeping tablets. God, don't do that. Take your seasickness pills and your earplugs.
No.
If ever slamming is going to be a problem, here we now.
Yeah, well, definitely we're going to get to know about slamming too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, so yeah, 2 days of happy weather sailing. Great.
Okay, well, are we all done?
Lovely to see you all.
Yeah.
Saturday,
Yeah, all good. All right, well, we'll keep you guys all updated, obviously, on everything that's happening. And yeah, we'll see you guys very, very soon. We'll do another live stream maybe after you get back from the test sale, babes, or in a couple of weeks' time. What do you think?
Yeah, in a couple of weeks' time, we'll do another Discord now that we seem to all be becoming more familiar with the technology.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know what's going on.
yeah.
I'm just
Exactly.
camera.
All
I'm
right,
just
guys.
doing what you tell me, Therese.
You just do what I tell you. Oh, I didn't realize that.
Push this.
Exactly. Push that button and then talk for an hour. Cool. All right then.
All right, listen.
All right,
Have a
everyone.
lovely Sunday, everybody. I'm gonna go and get some breakfast.
All right, babe. All right. See you, everyone. Bye.